Ready. All right. We're actually ready and live now. All right. So if you guys are just joining us, please disregard the earlier 4 minutes of setup that you saw live. It's been a while since George and I have joined you on a Facebook Live to do some monthly market updates and a bit of Q&A. We do not have anything prepared formally for you. So this really will be very casual and hopefully informative. Please like, share, type a comment. If you have questions, we will do our best to get to all of them while we're on the air. So I am Kelly DeLucia. I am the lead listing agent for Welch Team Keller Williams here in North Florida. And George, go ahead and introduce yourself for somebody who's never seen us before.
My name is George Bodenkolm. I am the lead buyer's agent for Welch Team Keller Williams. So I do exactly the opposite of what Kelly does. But we are prepared in some form. We do have stats and numbers and things like that. We just don't have a presentation to make it all look all pretty today.
That's right. I think the things that we wanted to share with you today are things that we talk about every single day. These are questions, hot button issues that lots of buyers, lots of sellers are having, not just here in North Florida, but all across the country. And we think it's extremely important to give you guys the breakdown of what's happening here. So we're not really concerned about another market, wherever somebody's moving from. We're only concerned really in today's segment about what's going on in North Florida, because we are very unique. And we have been seeing a lot of opportunity, regardless of what you may have heard out there. Mm-hmm. So I'd like to kick it over to George and just ask him to share some of the recent concerns that the buyers we are working with have had, and how that rising interest rates, lack of inventory, how that has been affecting their searches.
Yes. So over the past 2 years, we have had huge value increases. And the last year or so, the lack of inventory has been probably the hardest thing for most buyers to be able to handle, because of the fact that every home that comes on the market typically has anywhere between 15 to 25 offers that come through. A lot of people moving in from out of state. So we had a lot of cash flow as well. And even up until this point, we still have a ton of people that are coming in, may not be buying all cash, but they are buying 30, 40, 50%, even higher down with cash, which is why the interest rate hasn't been as much of a factor until probably most recently, where people are still buying a lot of homes and paying those points down, trying to get a little slightly higher interest rate. But at the same time, the people that are struggling to find a home are the people that are typically in that lower price point, those hundreds and 200s with those higher interest rates. That has a much larger effect on their budget, as well as the huge amount of investment companies that have been coming into Jacksonville, St. Augustine, Orange Park, all these areas from out of state and buying up a lot of those $100,000, $200,000 properties. So competition wise, again, they are struggling because majority of the people that are making offers are all cash. So,
yeah, I think that is a huge, we do have a large section of our city that hasn't been affected as much, because those cash buyers are able to, not be as affected by interest rates. But what has that done for our buyers that are, our average price point pre-2020 was about $250,000. Mm-hmm. And our average price right now in Duval County is about $380,000 to $400,000, and in St. Johns County, that's over $500,000. So our average price point has gone way up. So how have the interest rates affected those segments?
So those specifically, the last 2 to 3 weeks of us making calls and reaching back out to past customers that have been searching for the last 6 months or so have all decided to. Not all, but a good chunk of them have made a decision to re-sign leases, extend out their time to purchase a property, just because they haven't had their budget really has significantly decreased because of those rising interest rates, as well as the increase in values. So we've seen a lot of people step out of the market. And there are a few people who have concerns about whether you're listening to national media, media across from other sides of Florida, where they hear, oh, potential crash. And, so they're waiting that out. That's not going to happen here in North Florida. I mean, we don't have the inventory. Our builders are at this point still about 2 years behind due to huge demand, lack of supplies, lack of labor to be able to build those homes. So we're not going to feel that here in North Florida specifically, any sort of a crash, even if it does happen in other parts of the country or other sections where the market will dip. We probably will not. We'll more than likely just have a level off after 25% increases year over year. That can't be sustained. So we will probably see a level off, but we will not see a crash come into this market.
So let's talk about inventory. So pre-pandemic times, we considered in North Florida about 9,000 properties on the actively listed on the MLS to be a stable market. So not buyer friendly, not seller friendly, but very neutral, very stable, an even number of buyers compared to the inventory level. Mm-hmm. Today, we have a little under 2,900 active listings in the MLS. Now, that's up from a couple months ago where we were at like 2,100. So we have just a little bit more inventory. And I think some buyers and sellers are seeing that it's taking 14 days to sell a house instead of 14 hours.
Right.
But in reality, we are still 6,000 homes under under level to reach that 6,000 homes to be a balanced market. And I would actually contend that because so many people have moved here, that 9,000 home level is no longer going to be an adequate measure of what a stable market is. I think that we're going to need to carry around 10,000 homes.
Absolutely.
And I mean, I just kind of made that number up, but that's my, if you look at everything, I'm not an economist, and I only run my fair share of spreadsheets, but with the number of people moving here, that's not slowing down. We have a huge millennial population that's growing. We have people that are downsizing, boomers that are retiring, people moving from all over the world, people moving from other more expensive parts of Florida, but still want to stay in Florida. Mm-hmm. That inventory level is going to have to come up.
Oh, absolutely. And looking at that 2,800 number, I mean, honestly, that's actually a little inflated because a big chunk of that is new construction. So I'd say about 800 of that is probably new construction properties that are in the MLS as active listings, although they are probably not actually active. They may be a version of a home that's coming or one that's already sold. Unfortunately, the builders just don't have the capability to continuously update the MLS as much as regular agents would because of the homes coming and going. So a lot of times when you see an active listing on the market, it's probably something that will be done 4 to 6 months out, or it's just an example of a home, which you then would go meet with the builder and then potentially build one out, which may at this point is taking 12 to 18 months if you're building a semi-custom home from scratch between the day you sign your contract, pick out your land, home options, and then finally get done.
So speaking of builders, so one of the things that we track is permit, open, active, new permits that have been opened up by county. And one of the things that was interesting about last month was that permits have gone down. That doesn't mean that those are builders that are scared to build more homes, but those are builders who are purposely holding back their inventory because they're not sure what pricing is going to look like, what supply is going to look like, what trades are available to work, how they're going to get these homes built, if they were to throw them all out on the market at the same time. So we're seeing lots of builders withhold inventory intentionally.
Right. And just to add on to that, I mean, most of the builders now for the last 6 to 8 months have all been restricted on their sales. So they we're only permitted to sell, 1 to 5 homes per neighborhood per month. So the rest of the time, you're just kind of waiting for the next month and the next month to come through. And there are significant delays on random things, and every week or every month seems to be a different item that is delayed.
Right.
I just went to one today, and or the biggest delay they have for somewhere between 25 to 30 homes is that they have no glass for their showers. So
Yeah.
they have a bunch of homes that are done but have no shower enclosures. So
right. And I think that that's, we're continuing, supply chain delays are happening everywhere. It's anywhere from food to the appliances and the building materials that are in your house. And that's not going to stop anytime soon. And I know that we are not trying to keep this too long. We really wanted to give you guys an opportunity and a platform to kind of get some insight into what we're hearing and feeling every day. Bottom line here, and if I'm looking to see if we have any questions that have been asked, it doesn't look like it, but I hope if you guys watch this on repeat, if you have a question about what's impacting our market or what you specifically need to do, if you want to buy or sell, because it is still a great time to buy. We haven't even gotten into home prices and what interest rates will do as the year goes on and as home prices continue to rise, because they will, not at an exponential rate like we've seen before, but they're still going to go up. They're not going to go down. And we haven't even gotten into, the talks about recession and, what would happen if we went into a recession. But this recession or shift that we may be feeling is not caused by the housing industry. This has been caused by many other factors. The only time the housing industry was affected in history was when housing caused the recession. So this is not 2006, 7, 8. And we have some wonderful resources that we would love to share with you if you'd like to learn more about that specifically. And I would let anybody who would like to learn more about that, we can certainly send you information regarding what our local economy is looking more like. That is explained by somebody much smarter than myself. So, George, is there anything that you can think to add to today?
No, actually, that was a brilliant point about the recession from 08, where the housing market prices went down. That is the only time in the history of any past recessions that housing has ever dropped in value. No other time had the prices ever dropped. We have had past recessions multiple times over the years, but no, the pricing has never dropped. 08 was a completely different story. We have none of those practices going on. So we will not feel the same effects that we did. So people that are looking for a crash is completely different than a recession. Because even if we have a recession in prices, it doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to crash our market. So we may level off, we may hold a slightly increase. Instead of 25%, maybe we'll go up by 2%, which is a much more reliable number to
realistic number, right?
Yeah. So that is where we see it. And I think at some point people look at, it depends on what your definition of a recession is. If you say 1 year was a 25% increase and the next year was only a 1% increase, in theory, that is a little bit of a recession, but that's not the same definition of what people consider a crash. So we're not getting to that point at all.
Yeah. So if you hear things on the news, best to fact check with local market knowledge, because truly we need to just look at how it's going to impact our area of the country in terms of buying and selling. So as long as you're planning on living here, those are the key factors that we on a daily basis focus on. So everybody's situation is different. If you guys have any questions, we would love to answer them directly for you. We are here to be a resource as always. You can contact us on any of our social platforms, pretty much at Welch Team across the board. You can give us a call, 904-476-5539. As always, you can go to welchteam.com. But for our very first market update in quite a long time, it was lovely being here with you guys today. And I hope next week or next month, I should say, that we have more people join us and we have even more questions that we can answer for you.
Yep, that's pretty much it. She covered pretty much everything that we just had to say.
All right. All right, guys, we'll catch you next time. Thanks.